I would see it. Do I have to be your friend first to see it?
You should be able to just
See it? Okay.
see it.
I don't see anything yet. Did you hit go live?
Yep, I'm live.
Okay. How come I don't see it? I'm gonna log out and go in there and see if I'm live.
I can't see who's. I mean, this is so new to me. I don't really.
Oh, there you go. I see him. I did have to be your friend to see it.
Scott Lawrence joined.
I don't know if there's a way where you can do it where anyone can see it, whether they're your friend or not. You don't hear anything. Have you started your audio?
I haven't.
All right, start audio and just do a test.
Tested.
Got it.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, some people are.
Push your screen back a little. Your top screen back. I'll tell you when.
Push it back.
Yeah, towards you.
Oh, toward me?
Yeah, just the top part of your left.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you when.
How's that?
No, push it over.
Scott Lawrence. Oh, Andy Nevis. Oh, it's like there's a delay. Can you see it? Andy Nevis. Oh, it's like there's a delay. Can you see it? Hmm? I'm getting all the people are logging in. I'm getting all the people are logging in. Oh, yeah. Wow. Peter Marks joined. Yep. I don't know how you do it. I don't see an option to record. No. People from all walks of life. I don't see an option to record. Recording interview. Okay. So it's recording somewhere. Where? I don't see a drop down menu. I don't see a drop down menu. Video. Right. I can't figure that out right now because I don't see a drop down. Good luck. Tammy Clinton. Wow. Okay, folks, I'm just gonna say thanks for coming. We've got about 5 more minutes here, but lots of people are chiming in. Thanks for being here. Lots of people are chiming in. Thanks for being here. Yep. Just edit, post, create, poll. I don't see any other way to edit or, okay. You, oh, Tori jumped in. Okay. Yeah. Okay, folks, I'm gonna start. Some people are still kind of coming in, but wanted to thank you all for taking a bit of your time this evening to be here. My name is Mark Heilshorn. I am formerly the pastor of the First Congregational Church in Woodbury, Connecticut. And I've been a sojourner of the Spirit ever since. And I am been inspired to really ponder a role here to help other people get through this challenging time. And you can call it a calling. Um, but I feel very strongly that calm is the word we need to use during these interesting times, these scary times. And I just want to give you a little bit of a little history here. Um, so I served in the church for about 17 years in Woodbury, and since then I've been in and out of sales positions. But I've always been a seeker, a seeker of God, a seeker of faith, a seeker of spirit. And I've traveled a bit here and there in the years since I've been in the church. I've traveled to places like India, and I've met some incredibly spiritually guided people. And the um, the emphasis, I think, of any spiritual quest is to connect and to find a way to get out of ourselves and to find a deity or find a divine spirit within all of us. So what we're going to do here today, I can't necessarily invite everybody to participate. If there is a way, I don't know how to do that. So what we're going to do is let's have a time of meditation, a time of silence, and a time to ask higher power, to ask our sense of God to come into our lives and to fill us. So it's also wise to, or at least it's important for you to know that my background is not just Christian. I have advanced degree in interreligious dialogue, so I've been fooling around with God through the Christian lens, through the Jewish lens, through the Muslim lens, and I've also been exploring it through the Hindu lens and the Buddhist lens. So all of those things have kind of given me a milieu, if you will, and a way of looking at God through a lot of different points of view and cultural lenses as well. So let's begin, and let's just begin with a sort of a dedicated time to just be quiet. If you can do that in your setting, let's just begin with that. Thanks for that. So we're all here because there's a real sense of fear, not just in our own lives, but culturally, we're surrounded by it. And it doesn't matter really where you look or what you read, or um, but we are the elephants in the room, as it were. And what we want to do here is find some inner peace and find some calm, and that everything is really going to be okay. The scriptures and the religious texts that we are surrounded by speak of God as being a comfort, a strength, a presence, a timeless partner in times of joy and in times of pain. And what we're asked to do is really to try and focus on that relationship we have with however way we decide to call God. So what we're going to do is just I'm going to offer a meditation that may feel for some of you like a prayer, but it's an opportunity to take the words that I offer into your own hearts, minds, and souls, so that we can imagine and feel the presence of God in your own way, um, filling, uplifting, strengthening, and guiding our actions and our thoughts. So let's do that. Now, God comes in many forms. He's Yahweh for some, He's Christ for others. He's the elements of many gods within Hinduism. He's Buddha. It's a manifestation of all of these cultures and their ways of expressing what they cannot understand necessarily in human form. It is a means to express something that's bigger than ourselves. I mean, this is a bit of an understatement, but what's happening in our culture, what's happening in the world is way bigger than we are individually. And in other traditions and in other settings, there are many steps that we take in order to recognize that we are kind of powerless. We're powerless over lots of things in our lives. This virus is just yet one more thing that is seemingly over our heads. So we reach out for something that's bigger than we are. And, as a human, our human nature wants us to be able to control it all. So we're just going to have to surrender and let go. So I ask God in its many, many names to guide us, to strengthen us, to enable us to let go, to find peace, to find calm, to find an everlasting comfort and presence that he or she or it is here, holding us, comforting us, and uplifting us. Like a parent who comforts a child in many ways, that is the kind of presence we're asking for. A parent that listens, a parent that soothes, a parent that is intimately involved with who we are as a people of faith. So I ask you, oh God, to be in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, to enrich us with the very essence of your living spirit that can help us to see through these very challenging times. In my Christian tradition, we focus a bit on Jesus being with us. In the Jewish tradition, God is very much a steady hand and a presence. In the Muslim tradition, they would be guided by traditions and laws that would encourage them to have a conscious contact with God on a daily basis, 5 times a day in their tradition. In the Hindu tradition and the Buddhist tradition, it's an every moment, every day experience of identifying with a deity that can help us get out of ourselves and get into the life of God, recognizing that we are very small and that presence is very big. So in that vein, I would ask God to be in our cells, to be in our bodies, to be a place where, and an entity where we can rely on that strength and that purpose, and do what we can today to find peace and to find calm amidst the noise of everybody's opinion about what's happening here. So Lord, and God, we don't know the future. We can't possibly know the time frame. All we can do is focus on where we are with you today and how you can be um, a comfort, because there are people in our lives that no doubt are scattered. I know in my own life I've got children who are a bit all over the place. There is a great sense of fear, a great sense of panic, a sense of unknowing and uncertainty. But God, I know that you know all these things. The scripture and these biblical and these religious texts are full of moments where we as human beings are just human, and we are we are almost asked and implored to set aside that humanity and to welcome you to be our everlasting and prophetic voice in our hearts, minds, and souls, begging us, as it were, to listen and to hear and to know and to pour love into everything that we do, whether it's the love that we pour into our beloved relationships with our spouses and partners, or whether it's the love that we ask that you to share with our family and friends, our colleagues. Uh, there's an awful lot that we can do, even if we can't be physically present with each other. We've got a phone that we can use, oh God. So encourage us to comfort one another and to soothe one another as we go through this time, because we are the instruments. We are what is described in so many religious texts as God's disciples and as God's instruments of grace. We are the ones that can make the difference. We are the ones that can reach out of our need, really, to be less self-centered, and so that we can serve the needs of others. That is really what we're called to do in this time, and to be pillars of strength and pillars of calm. And we recognize that that at this time in our history, which none of us have ever experienced, oh God, that you empower us to be people who believe and have faith as we move forward into uncertainty. I can think of so many different analogies where and I'm thinking of really the Jewish tradition where Jonah is asked to go to Nineveh, and he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to leave the safety of his own path. He he is determined not to listen to the call of God to speak to the people about his experience, and yet he goes. He goes. And in many ways, we're asked to be those messengers. We're asked to be those voices and those partners in helping calm the waves. It can't just be one of us. It can't just be the light workers that we appoint, the pastors and the priests and the shamans. There's a little bit of divinity in all of us, and maybe there's a lot of divinity in all of us. And we're being asked to shut down, we're being asked to not congregate, we're being asked to socially distance ourselves and to shelter ourselves. And while that's all very important, we need to remember that as a human species, we are ambassadors of love in all of these traditions, to care for one another, to pray for one another, to find that spiritual space for one another, and to care about those that are having far more difficulty than perhaps we are on this call right now. There are those who are stricken. There are those who are panicked beyond belief. Help us to find the calm. Help us to find the peace. Help us to use whatever our belief systems are as instruments to guide others, and to most importantly guide ourselves away from the temptation to be wrapped up in all of the fear and all of the panic that we see and read and witness in some cases. So Lord, we have to live in this space right now. We have to do the best we can to be examples and to be models for others. And maybe that is what the world is asking. Maybe we send love. As other light workers have suggested, we send love to the pain. We send love to the hurt. We send love to those who are really afraid. We send love and exemplify the gifts of the Spirit that we have been given. I know that I know from my heart that God listens to prayer. It's been said in so many ways and in so many studies that when we are prayerful people, great things happen. There's two ways to look at that from my point of view. Prayer changes the person who's praying. But, study after study has shown that when we pray for other people, especially in a medical study, people do better. And I have to believe that if we can be prayerful people during this time, and we can meditate on our version of God being with us and helping us through this challenging time in our lives, that we will tip the scale of what is happening in the world, away from the anger, away from the blame, away from the resentment, away from the anger, away from the pestilence. If we infuse God's grace into these places, I firmly believe that change can happen. But it doesn't take just one of us. It takes many working together, recognizing that belief and demonstrating it time after time after time. So I kind of wanted to do that here. And while I'm, not ministering to a church in a way, I feel like I'm ministering to many people through prayer. And lots of folks are just struggling on how to take their energy and how to be thoughtful. So I think what we're going to do here as we move forward, I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to offer prayer. I don't know how often yet, but I'm going to put something together and I'm going to send it out on Facebook as I did today. And I would encourage you all to make a practice of being mindful, centering yourselves, and and taking time out of our days, which, are not necessarily filled with work right now, and be kind, caring, and considerate to the world around you. Thanks a lot, everybody. And I only wanted to do about 20 minutes, so appreciate you being here, and let's keep this up. Let me know what you think. Have a great night, and God be with you all.